Hello guys, I am again up with my history video and the topic of today's video is Akbar the Great. Well, I know I should have started the Mughal Empire in orderly fashion, but many of you were actually requesting me to come up with a video on Akbar, which is why I'm discussing him first, the very first in this video, but I'll be covering the entire Mughal period in serial fashion. So do not worry about that. So yes, today we are going to discuss one of the greatest rulers of Mughal Empire, Abul Fath Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar. So let us quickly see the table of contents, that is, what are we going to cover under this specific topic. First, we are going to deal with the introduction part, in which I'll discuss about tenure of Akbar, when did he come to throne. Later on, we'll see the accession of Akbar, how did he manage to come to throne. Post that, we'll see the personal life of Akbar. Then on, we'll see the Akbar's policies, wherein we'll discuss about his administrative policies, religious policies, as well as his economic policies. We'll see few of his military campaigns, and then we'll wrap up the video with his death. So let us proceed in orderly fashion. Akbar was one of the greatest rulers of Mughal dynasty and was born in October 1542 to Humayun and Hamida Banu Begum. So Akbar was the son of Hamida Begum and Humayun, who also was a great ruler of Mughal dynasty. His full name was Abul Fath Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar. This might pop up in the form of MCQ question, so you need to have a gauge over that. His reign expands from 1556 to 1605. So as you can see, he ruled for 49 long years. Now, we'll see how did he come to throne. Basically, his accession. So, Akbar managed to come to throne on 14th February 1556 and thus succeeded his father Humayun. Bahram Khan made Akbar sit on the throne of Delhi after his father's death. Now you all must be wondering as to who Bahram Khan was. So Bahram Khan was the chief advisor of Akbar and also his most trustworthy ally. So basically he brought up Akbar, he took care of Akbar during his initial years. So Bahram Khan was in a way very close to Akbar. Now we'll see few details about his personal life as well. Now, when learning about the personal life of Jalaluddin, we must keep in mind that Akbar, used to put forth very concrete matrimonial alliances with elite Rajput families. So this way he was very strategic. Akbar used to follow concrete matrimonial alliances. He would initiate friendship with the Rajput and later on would marry. Sorry, lot of print mistakes are there, and later on he would marry the Rajput queens. So this was his very concrete strategy. He would form matrimonial alliances, then he would marry the Rajput queens and in turn would get good property or land under his control. So this strategy of Akbar brought him some Rajput provinces such as Amber, Bikaner, Jaisalmer. So with his policy of matrimonial alliances, he got some very good Rajput provinces of Amber, Bikaner and Jaisalmer. Some sources suggest that Akbar had 250 plus wives, and his wives are classified as chief wives and secondary wives. So he had over 250 plus wives, and his wives are categorized as chief wives and secondary wives. Most important ones are Harka Begum, Rukaiya Begum, Jodha Begum. So these are some of his most famous wives known in the history, and his most he was very specifically fond of Jodha basically, Begum Jodha. Now Akbar had many children. So he had many children, and his longest surviving child was Jahangir. So these are little details about his personal life, and now we shall move on to the policies of Akbar, wherein we'll specifically deal with administrative policies, economic policies, religious policies of Akbar. So Akbar undoubtedly was a very great administrator. He wanted to establish a sense of administrative peace and calmness in his administration. So, he was not that kind of a despot or, anarchist type of a person. He would always want to maintain, peace, calmness in his empire. One of the most important aspects of Akbar's administration was the centralized ruling of Akbar. Now, he had this very, a good quality in himself, that he would always have a very strong grip over his empire. He would not let the units of his empire scatter into pieces. He had a very centralized form of a government. King was considered as the supreme head of the empire, and his decisions were crucial to the functioning of the empire. So King was considered the supreme head, and he had the full right to administer policies, and King's decisions were very crucial to the functioning of the empire. Akbar's council of ministers included the Wazir, Diwan, and Chief Qazi. So Wazir would help the king in all the internal matters. Diwan would look after the state revenue. Qazi, he was assigned with the task of looking after the judicial department, basically. Moving further, at the provincial level, the officials included Subedars, Diwans, Qazi, Kotmal, Mirbaksh. So at the provincial levels, these were the ministers of Akbar. Now, he also took into account the efficiency of his military, for which he made sure to pay the army on time, grant them medical facilities, etc. Now, he was very determined and very, cautious with his military abilities. So, he would grant the army of his empire on proper time. He would pay them salaries, good salaries on proper time. He would also look after the medical needs of his soldiers. So Akbar's judicial system was equally efficient. He was not at all a despot. He would always address the grievances of people and would try to make a way out. So he was not at all a despot. Now, having discussed about his administrative policies, let us, quickly learn some points about Akbar's economic policies. See, as told initially, Akbar would, follow matrimonial alliances, and he would used to get vast areas in return. So this can be counted as one of his economic policies. He would follow matrimonial alliances, very clear. I've already explained this point. Now, during the reign of Akbar, the economic condition of India was top-notch level. Yes. At that time, during the reign of Akbar, India's economic policy was top-notch level. It was, doing so good. Economic condition of India was so good that it was on the radar of most developed countries of the world at that time. It was fairly advanced. Growth was seen. GDP was small in comparison to GDP was this is a print mistake. GDP was good in comparison to other developed economies of that time. It should be more. GDP was more in comparison to other developed economies of that time. Akbar's trade policies were very smooth. Freight charges were less, which initiated foreign trade. Now, he had a very good command over his tax system. Freight charges were less, which, would initiate the international trading. Production of goods such as cotton, rice, wheat, millets, etc. were very positively good at that time. So, production of these goods were on a good scale. Used to happen on a good scale. India was doing good in technological development at the time of Akbar, and due to this, agriculture also witnessed a growth at the time of Akbar. So India was mastering in the field of agriculture, trade, and technology. And what else does an economy need to evolve? Moving ahead, we shall now see a few details on Akbar's religious policy. What ideology did he believe in? Was he a tolerant ruler, and all those stuff. Right. So Akbar was a very tolerant ruler. He had equal respect for the people of other religion as well. He founded a new religion called Din-e-Ilahi. Again, a very important one marker, which was an amalgamation, and Din-e-Ilahi was an amalgamation of all the common points of all religion. So what he did, that he would take out common points from all the religion and he would amalgamate them, and thus he founded a new religion known as Din-e-Ilahi. He also believed in equality. So he wasn't said Akbar the Great just for the namesake. He really was a great emperor. He was fairly liberal and had tolerance and mutual respect for other religion as well. And he also abolished jizya. So, which we see in the case of Khilji, If you remember, he had imposed jizya and all kinds of taxes during his tenure as a part of his economic policy. So Akbar abolished jizya. Now we'll see about his campaigns. Discussed all the important administrative, economic and religious policies of Akbar. We shall now very briefly learn about few campaigns of Akbar the Great. So let us quickly see those. Now Akbar, after the death of his father Humayun in 1556, became the third emperor of the Mughal dynasty, and he was just 13 at that time. So he ascended the throne at a very nascent age of 13. He also launched various military campaigns against Suris, Afghans, Balwa, Gondwana, Mirza Hakim, and won over them. In case you do not know, Mirza Hakim was Akbar's half-brother. He further launched campaigns in East Bihar, Bengal, Odisha, and went on to extending his empire. He also expanded his empire towards northwest, where he occupied Kashmir, Kandahar, Kabul, etc. So you can see how his domination was can be seen in all the parts of Indian territory. Now he also to some extent moved towards south, but had a clash with his son Jahangir, whom many of us know as Salim. So he was also moving towards Deccan, but in the course of time he had a very big clash with his son Jahangir, because Jahangir basically wanted to come to power. So many obstacles and hurdles came in the way when he went on his Deccan campaign. So guys, these were some of the campaigns which he launched during his reign. I have not discussed them in major detail, but I have definitely touched each and every aspect of the topic. Finally, Akbar died in 1605 and was succeeded by his son Jahangir. So many say that Akbar died because of some ailment. Many say he was poisoned by his son. But the mystery is still not solved. And Akbar died in 1605. So yes guys, this was a brief background of Akbar's rule, his policies, his military campaigns, his personal life. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Until then, be safe, do well, and thanks for watching.